Alrighty, we're going to start this episode, clip, video, whatever, with a mantra. Slow to finish, but quick to start. To do a self-assessment of myself and to review what my greatest weaknesses are. I can't recall a period in my life where I have suffered from crippling self-doubt. Anything I've ever set my mind to, I've always been extremely optimistic and confident that I can achieve, even if I don't. I don't keep a tally of all the accomplishments that I've completed throughout my life, nor do I definitely not keep a tally of all the things I've failed at. In fact, quite the opposite. If there's something I want, I continue wanting it until I get it, or I just stop wanting it and I forget about it. And that's how things have always been for me. Let's take the shirt off. Keeping that in mind, it's a sweaty shirt, so excuse me. Keeping that in mind, the things that I have wanted for some time now, and I continue to want: published author, filmmaker, millions of dollars, billions of dollars, movie star. These are the things that I've wanted for more than 10 years. In fact, the other day I was going through some old journaling that I keep on my Google Drive. No, it was actually my LinkedIn. I had a blog post on LinkedIn dating back 8 years ago. And the entire blog was talking about the shit that I'm just now getting into 8 years later, such as the health and wellness consultation service that I'm still setting up. But again, it goes back to slow to finish, quick to start. Assessing my flaws, my biggest flaw has always been wanting things to happen just because I want them to happen, without actually taking into account that there are steps to get from point A to point B. Instead, I want teleportation to exist. I want to be the inventor of teleportation, getting to destinations just from a very flick of my head, switch of my brain. I know that is why Dr. Manhattan, the DC superhero, is probably my biggest superhero influence. My roommate, who I have known for 15 years, his biggest influence is Batman, and it's a huge indicator as to how he lives his life. Basically, perseverance, willpower, grit, intelligence, and problem solving. The world's greatest detective. My favorite superhero and my greatest influence so far is that superhero world is Dr. Manhattan, and his powers are godly. He has the ability to manifest and create anything within his imagination. He can construct and deconstruct at will, and it requires no effort. And that is how I've always wanted my life to be. I've always been of the mindset, and I do believe this deep down, that if I want something enough, there are ways to communicate with the universe to have that thing occur without me having to lift a finger. And the way that I would analogize this to something in real life, and I've used this analogy before in the past, if I want a large pizza pie, it would start with me having the thought, I want a large pizza pie, and then my phone rings and my friend says, hey, listen, I'm coming over, and guess what? I picked up a large pizza pie on the way, and I just wanted to see if you wanted to have any. Boom. And in that analogy, not saying that that specific story has actually happened in my life, similar experiences, not to go off on a tangent, but in that scenario, me having the thought first of wanting the large pizza pie is what actually creates the opportunity for my friend to call me, telling me that he's on the way with that large pie. Or you could say, and again, this is, we can spend all day talking about this, but perhaps it could be the case that my friend was always coming over with the large pizza pie, and so my brain was just in synchronization with the anticipation that the pizza pie was coming to me. That's another way of looking at it. Maybe I never wanted the pizza pie. Maybe I just knew that it was coming. If all things are set in stone and there's predestination, then there's just the ability to foresee incoming events or activities, and you can allow yourself to look forward to them. Who knows? I'm 31, and I'm definitely going to get into that kind of shit later on after I have peaked my body, and then we'll be pursuing the whole mental landscape much more. But back to the physique. I started watching Pumping Iron, that Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding movie, for the first time ever. It's on YouTube for free. And honestly, I was just watching it to get an idea as to my potential as a bodybuilder, pursuing the natural route. So I was able to look at these guys who, back in the golden era, where, they prioritize things differently than what we do now in more current bodybuilding, where, and I was not simultaneously, but I was also listening to this podcast with Chris Bumstead and Chris Williamson. I believe it's called Modern Wisdom, where Chris Bumstead was talking about how the priority of the golden era bodybuilders, such as Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, Ken Wallace, I want to say, their goal was to create more of an aesthetic appearance, not get as lean as possible, but to have a more full look, a just more well-rounded, more proportional look, less of an emphasis on the legs and the calves, and a bigger upper body. Listening to Chris Bumstead talk about that, and then watching the documentary Pumping Iron, it did give me some perspective that I am in complete alignment with that being my pursuit, which is essentially chasing the ultimate aesthetic physique for myself. And I've said it before, but it's good to continue to reaffirm what the goal is. My goal is to achieve a level of aesthetic physique that is comparable to any other person who had this goal. I want it to be arguable that I have the greatest aesthetic physique of all time. Period. Understanding that I'm 31 and that in my perspective, based off of the data, this is something of a young man's game. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm starting late, and I don't know, I have a good base. Definitely got to get on camera my legs, because that's really what I'm waiting on. Legs and less body fat, and that'll be the physique that I have to present to the world. Bigger legs, less body fat. And I am estimating that whole process will take 3 years, and by that time I will be 35, stepping on stage at a natural bodybuilding competition. In the span of these 3 years, there will be a obviously large focus on leg growth, muscle development, maintaining a lean body mass. There's a large part of me that believes that I can maintain single-digit body fat for the next 3 years. In fact, that would be my preference for the sake of presenting a close to finished version of my aesthetic physique to the world over the next 3 years. The reason I want to present that for the next 3 years is A, I want this to be my primary source of income. I want to offer the online consultation service to people who aspire to have a physique similar to mine. And the more shredded I am, the more lean I am, and the more fucking amazing I look, the more clients I'll be able to retain. And that's kind of how I'm looking at that. Maybe that's all I had to say today. Sometimes when I find myself at the gym, I'm sitting around thinking, is this it? Is this all I have to focus on? And I am focused. This is consuming my waking hours. A couple weeks ago, I was always looking for an opportunity to cheat, eat food, eat something tasty, go on a binge. And now that's the furthest thing from my mind. I feel so dialed in right now because I know that this is the future and that this is the path that I have chosen for myself as my way of getting out of the matrix, quitting my day job, and living out my wildest dreams. Because unfortunately, I am not Dr. Manhattan. And in order to accomplish anything in this world, there are steps that have to be executed, one after the other, in order to reach the desired destination. Slow to finish, but quick to start. 5% coming soon.